Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about the, the issues or the problems that can get created when a business owner decides to use or take advice or the automated advice that comes from Google Ads, either in the app or via email or, in the web browser when you log into your Google Ads account. So this client here approached me a few weeks ago. We had a really good discussion because they had already tried lots of different things and nothing was quite working. Now, their main service, as you can see, is obviously waterproofing, and they do other things as well. But when you look at this website, basically, there's a lot of different services but not a lot of detail behind each one. So, in other words, they do bathroom renovations, but they also do mainly waterproofing. So, you can imagine, right? If you're looking at most bathroom renovation companies in Sydney, they'll have websites with lots of different bathrooms and lots of examples of work, etc., etc. So, one of the challenges here was really trying to narrow down what the focus is. And eventually we got to the point that, waterproofing is the number one thing that this business focuses on. And so the conversation then turned to, what should change on the website and what things should be done to try and get more of those sort of leads. And so we're working on that as a separate project. But in the short term, one of the things that the business owner wanted to do was generate or try and generate some traffic to this site to see if they could create some leads and some requests. And so the decision was made to set up a Google Ads campaign to get some traffic. Now, we're using the existing website, not a new one that's going to get built. And the campaign that was here before, which I think we've already removed, was some automatic campaigns that were either run by the business owner or contractor or agency they were dealing with. I'm not quite sure. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The past is the past. These automated campaigns um, look easy, but you're relying on Google to figure out what may or may not be relevant for your business. And so the challenge here is you can end up with, all sorts of um, phrases or things that may or may not be relevant, to what you do. And so, in this example here, you can see a few of the words. It's all to do with waterproofing, which is great. But when I did some of further analysis, when you really dug in, there was other things in there that ads were getting run to that were for phrases that had nothing to do with their business at all. And so, that's the risk that's run when you let, I guess, either automated or AI based tools sort of take over and do things. It will try and do its best, but at the end of the day, it can actually lead to a lot of wastage on either words or phrases that are close to what you do, but are not directly related. And so that can end up being a lot of money wasted because if somebody clicks the ad and then they go to the site and realize that, you don't do that particular service, they're just going to leave. But you still have, you still pay for that. Some categories, some services, the wording or the phrases that are used are very close, even though they can be very different. And what I mean by that is, in this instance, waterproofing for a bathroom could be somebody that wants to do it themselves and they're going to go to Bunnings and buy, some materials or something to do it themselves and they're trying to figure that out versus someone that wants a service to come and do it for them. So those little nuances, typically from what I've seen, Google won't be able to differentiate. There could be, some people might argue and say, well, someone might be researching how to do it themselves from Bunnings, but in the end, they might figure out it's all too hard, so they'll come back to looking for a business. But in the meantime, If that doesn't happen, they're obviously potentially clicked on something to do with Bunnings. They go to the website, they realize that you don't do anything, you know, related to Bunnings or products. They might leave. If they don't remember who you are, how do they know to go back unless they've taken note of it? But most people won't. They're on their phone. They're probably just doing things really quickly, going back and forth, trying to solve a problem. So in some instances, you're better off not wasting the time or energy, and instead focus on the people that are wanting a service specific to what you do. And so the campaign that I had set up was a manual campaign, not automatic. And what I did was go through a keyword analysis for this business and actually ask the business owner to flag words that were not relevant to what they did. And the reason we did that is so that we could tell Google in this campaign things that were not relevant to what they do. So, in other words, things to do with basements, which is kind of an American phrase, it's not really an Australian phrase. Um, Things to do with other companies, things to do with Bunnings we took out, water restoration. I have no idea how or why that appeared in one of their previous campaigns, but it did. Structural foundation inspection, like it doesn't do that. So what we did was add all these words that came out of previous campaigns and made sure that on the new campaign, it wasn't going to get advertised to. And so by doing that, you're helping Google understand what it is or it isn't relevant for what the business does. So today, when I went into the campaign to have a look at what the progress was like, I noticed something really unusual, which is a lot of new phrases that have been added with a broad search term. So straight away, I knew that wasn't me. I didn't add these because a lot of the phrases that I'd added, you can see here, they were exact match. What the hell's the difference? So broad means anything to do with that topic. Shower waterproofing membrane. So someone else might type shower tap. Potentially Google will show an ad to that because it might think it's something to do with, someone looking for shower stuff. And what it means is the range of words that Google will show ads to try and test whether things work or not can get really, really expansive. And I'll show proof of that in a second. So my first fear was like, why has that happened? Because I didn't do it. Some of it makes sense. Balcony waterproofing, exactly. That's what this customer does. Waterproofing specialists. That's what they are. No problem. Some of those make sense, but there's some others that don't. And so the issue here is what I'd originally set up was for Google to only show ads to very specific words. And the idea behind doing that was to take a very measured approach to very specific words relating directly to what this business owner provided as a service. And so the aim here is obviously get a really high click rate. And you can see here, waterproofing contractors, we had a 50% click rate from the ad. So the combination of the wording I'd created and in this phrase. So that's super high. It's like one in two people nearly were clicking on the ad. And that's what I'd set up. Now what's happened is the business owner has opened their app and they've seen, all these different recommendations from Google to take certain actions. And they've actually approved for those to occur. And what it's done is remove what I'd set up and then added all these broad match words. And so here, for example, bathroom ceiling, that's going to pick up things to do with the chemicals, how to do it, where to buy the products from, um, reviews on ceiling product, all sorts of stuff. They're not necessarily going to be related to what this service offers or what this business offers. And so therefore you can waste a lot of money. How do I know? Well, obviously there's been some clicks here. I didn't get a phone call to say all of a sudden there's heaps of leads. And there's a different reason for that as well. That's more to do with the website and the information that's on there. But the other reason that I knew that this was done is I can obviously see the change history in the account. So I can see that the business owner had logged in at some stage, turned on or took the advice that was being given and let it proceed. The second reason is when I run campaigns for clients, I always look at a couple of things. One is the auction insights, and this will show you, whether your ads are beating other competitors or not. There's not enough data here based on this being a new campaign. But the other one is this area here called search terms. So what this shows is what phrases did Google show ads to over a given time that were not the keywords that we had chosen. And the reason it's doing this is because broad match, so in other words, just generic phrases, was turned on. So all of a sudden, Google's now trying to find all the different phrases it thinks are related to those broad match terms. And so, for example, here, roof leak repair Brisbane is obviously not relevant because the business is based in Sydney. The campaign actually was set up to be just focused on a certain suburb and 20 kilometers beyond that suburb. So why the hell this would show up for roof leak repair Brisbane? No idea. Secondly, why would it show up for roof leak repair? Well, it's to do with the phrase, obviously. And so the question now becomes whether this is relevant or not. Now, the person's paid for a click for this. Some of these others make sense. Waterproof over existing tiles, local waterproofing company, no problems. But then you got something like this, foundation coating contractor. Depends on your perspective. This could do with a brand new foundation or concrete slab that's been poured where somebody wants it coated or sealed for argument's sake. That's not necessarily waterproofing. So this may or may not be relevant to the business. A leakage expert could be to do with getting a plumber, not necessarily somebody that does waterproofing. So as you can see, as you go through this list, some of it's questionable whether it's going to be relevant or suitable. Here we've got something to do with one of the brands. So this service doesn't necessarily sell that brand of product. Maybe they don't even use it, but somebody might have clicked on this thinking they do. And so that can end up being wasted money. Here we've got change a shower tap washer. Now the reason this has shown up is because maybe leaking shower or maybe shower leak or something like that was put in one of the broad search terms. The challenge with this is obviously this service doesn't do that. A plumber does. And this becomes one of the nuances with, um, why or when Google will show ads to certain people. At the moment, there's obviously not a lot of impressions, but the risk is that this does get shown more and somebody decides to click on it. They go to the business's website, realize they don't do that, and therefore it's wasted money. And as you can see, I'm still scrolling. So what's happened now is you can see down the bottom here, more than 200 phrases that have been tested just in a day. And, this will continue, obviously. They don't do rising damp repairs. They don't do roof restorations. They definitely don't do roof restorations in Adelaide. So by the owner clicking accept or approving or whatever they pressed on the app, they've now created a campaign that's now getting shown to a whole much wider array of words, a lot of which may not be, relevant. And so the challenge now is to clean all that up. So it's an administrative task that, obviously takes a little bit of time to do. But in the meantime, if I hadn't have checked this, it could have run for a few days and there could have been, I don't know how many clicks gone to this campaign and hundreds of dollars or thousands, depending how long it went for, wasted. The challenge here is, from my perspective, yes, the client had set up to create a campaign, but it's not, how do I say, it's not common for someone to go in every few hours or every few days to go in and check a campaign if they're not being paid to do that. So in other words, yes, I was paid to set it up, paid to do it, to what would make sense in a controlled manner so that it would be, um, you know, measurable, make common sense, but not necessarily something that we're going in and looking at it every single day. And so this is where business owner getting involved and making changes or adding things or whatever can lead to costly mistakes. So now what has to happen is a couple of things. One, firstly, to go back to the campaign, change all the broad terms either back to exact or to delete them. To then look at some of the terms that have come up and one by one to decide. So here, for example, this one might get added to the campaign because they're obviously relevant. But then to look at some of the others and exclude them, and even if you look at this one for the toilet, for example, set that as another negative word. So in other words, help Google learn about what is or isn't relevant. So in other words, this service doesn't do anything to do with toilet leak repairs. So we will block that out. And by doing that, it helps fine tune the campaign. Hopefully, then it only gets shown to people that are more relevant to what this business is trying to do. And it means that the clicks you do get have got a higher chance then of converting into a customer. So, what's the summary? If a business owner gets involved in making changes to the account, it can have all sorts of implications if they don't know what they're doing. In this case, it's added a heap of phrases that weren't set up. It's set them as a broad match, so that means Google try all sorts of different things to do with different, words and phrases relating to the main topic that's in these phrases. I just gave the example of a tap washer repair that would be suiting a plumber, not a waterproofer. And so all of a sudden, it just opens the risk of heaps of money getting wasted on ads that are just not relevant to the business.